How you doing tonight, Denise?
I'm very well. It's 1 a.m. in the morning here in England.
Oh, wow. So you've just launched HeavyMetalBay.com, an innovative new website where metal fans can buy and sell all kinds of music and unique memorabilia from their favorite metal artists. Let's talk about what people can expect to find on HeavyMetalBay.com and how, in your opinion, this website could potentially revolutionize the online buying and selling experience for metal fans.
Well, in my opinion, I think it's basically a unique idea in the sense that there isn't another site like it for heavy metal fans. Yes, there is eBay out there, but eBay is for everybody, you know. It's not a specialist site, and we certainly don't have things like kitchen sinks and stuff on HeavyMetalBay.com. But I reckon it will revolutionize the heavy metal market because it's a unique site. It's dedicated to the fans of the music, and simply because, you know, the heavy metal community is such a tight one. You know, anyone who's into heavy metal music is very dedicated and is very, very into the music, into the scene. And, you know, music genres come and go, but heavy metal music fans and their dedication just sort of spans over many, many years. You know, you see 7-year-olds to 70-year-olds in heavy metal concerts, in my experience. And I reckon that HeavyMetalBay.com will be the #1 online marketplace for all heavy metal fans.
Great, yeah, I agree. So, from what I understand, to celebrate the launch of HeavyMetalBay.com, all auction listings for the next month will be free of charge. How do people go about listing an item on HeavyMetalBay.com? Is it similar to eBay or Amazon.com? How's that all work?
It's very, very simple. You just basically go on, you register yourself with your email address, make up a password for yourself. It's free to register, and then you go ahead and list an item. It's very, very simple, very user-friendly. And if you have any problems, obviously you can email us straight from the website as well. But it's very, very user-friendly. You just follow the instructions.
Now, I'm sure the question on a lot of people's minds is going to be, how are the listing fees in comparison to your competitors?
Well, I mean, we've looked at the listing fees with our competitors, obviously, for the next, not months, actually, for the next 2 months, listing fees are we don't have any. Basically, you only pay when your item sells. But as a buyer, there's no, it's very simple. You don't need a PayPal account. You just need a credit card, which is very different from eBay. I think you need to have a PayPal account for both sides. You know, it's an international site in that the currencies are in US dollars and euros. So if you live in Europe, you can see exactly what you need to pay. If you live in the US, you can see how much it is in dollars, you know, and it's up to the minute currency conversion. So, you know, basically it's a very sort of user-friendly site in that sense.
Now, in addition to hosting buy and sell auctions for metal memorabilia, Denise, HeavyMetalBay.com will also showcase a concert guide where users can find local metal gigs wherever they may live. That's a pretty cool feature. Tell me about what else you feel sets you apart from other online vendors.
Well, we also have, apart from the concert guide on HeavyMetalBay.com, we also have the Band Corner, which is a section for musicians or up-and-coming musicians or existing musicians, or however big, small you are, or it really doesn't matter. You can go ahead and promote your band on there. It's almost like a little, it's an idea coming from, say, a MySpace for your band. You know, that's what differentiates from all the other sites. We have the concert guide, the band guide, it's called the Band Corner, and also the auction site, of course, as well. And, of course, the auction site comes with the Buy Now feature as well. So, you know, all these 3 features, or 4 features, shall I say, differentiates us from all the other sort of, shall I say, other similar websites. But I haven't actually seen another website like ours dedicated to heavy metal, particularly an auction site. So if there is one, I'd like to know about it.
And that brings me to my next question, Denise. It really goes without saying that your target market is the heavy metal crowd. Are users limited to only listing items related to heavy metal and its various subgenres, or can they list music memorabilia by, say, a rock and roll band or a blues band? Where do you draw the line, and how will you enforce your guidelines for listing an item?
Well, I mean, for example, if you bring in a memorabilia from Britney Spears, obviously that's not going to be the right place for you. But let's say you bring in memorabilia from, I don't know, Led Zeppelin. You know, that could be, you know, could that be considered heavy metal? I reckon it would be, because, you know, the heavy metal roots come under that, you know, title. So, you know, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, these are all sort of big bands, you know. Where do we draw the line? You know, I think the name speaks for itself. I don't think a pop music fan is actually going to go on our site and list anything. I really don't think so. The look of the site, the feel of the site, the subcategories of the site speak for itself, you know. It's a bit like going to a store that sells only men's clothes, you know. You're going to get women shopping in there for their partners, but you're not really going to get them in there very much.
Okay.
So that's what I think, really. It's basically, you know, I think there are so many subcategories in heavy metal music, as you know. New metal, hard rock, you know, heavy metal, thrash metal. The list goes on. Gothic metal, punk metal. I mean, you know, where do we draw the line? I think it's. I mean, for example, if you ask the general public, somebody was asking me the same question today. Would you have, if I came onto your site and put an Aerosmith CD up there, would that be considered heavy metal? My answer to that would be absolutely yes, because if you ask the general public out on the street, is Aerosmith a heavy metal band or hard rock? Immediately, the answer would be yes. So it's basically, I think the site defines itself and the way, the look itself. You know, I really don't think that we're suddenly going to get Britney Spears or Lady Gaga fans putting up this stuff on Heavy Metal Bay, unless there's a connection to heavy metal. You know.
Sure. So Denise, you have a background as an international booking agent, and you've worked with some big-name artists such as the Michael Schenker Group, Tarja Turunen, Cinderella, and even Blind Guardian. What was it that originally inspired you to create this online community designed for metal fans by metal fans, and did your previous work experience come in handy when doing so?
Well, absolutely. My experience, my current, you know, my main job is actually being a booking agent. I own my own company. Yes, of course, the background does help. Myself being a heavy metal fan, I'm actually a fan of the music myself. That very much helps. My contacts in the business, the promoters and then the fans, and my years of being in the business, obviously there was I mean, I've had a eureka moment, shall I say, about 5 years ago. I was living in Miami, and I was working in management at the time, as well as doing bookings, and I basically had an idea that, you know, heavy metal fans are so dedicated. It's such a huge community, and it spans worldwide. It's not just in one country. You know, you can get heavy metal fans even in Malaysia, India, anywhere in the world. You know, you can find them, and they're so dedicated. And I thought, hold on a minute, there must be a place where someone can actually recognize this and put two and two together. You know, why isn't there an auction site or a place where all the metal fans can go to? We have blabbermouth.net, which I think is fantastic. It's the CNN of heavy metal, in my opinion. But there's nothing for heavy metal itself. There's no place like where you can go that's a specialist marketplace for the metal community. So when I had that eureka moment, I came up with this idea. I immediately went online and checked if there was anything like it, and to my huge surprise, there wasn't. And I got very, very excited, and you know, that's how it all began. And then the whole thing started getting very sort of theatrical in my head, and how it was all going to work out. And so I started drafting ideas on pieces of paper on how the website was going to look and come together, the feel of it and all of this. I started gathering people around me and making it happen. It took 2.5 years of programming to make the site happen. I mean, it seems very simple because, you know, you look at it in the way it works and stuff, but actually the programming behind such a site is a huge task. Not only is it huge, it's also very expensive. So, you know, it was just from the start, you know, the eureka moment until the whole finishing of the site and all this, and I wouldn't really call it finished yet because every day is a work in progress. It was 5 years, you know, 5 years ago this whole thing came to my head. And still to this day, it surprises me that nobody actually came up with the idea. You know, it's actually refreshing in a way.
Wow, and I was just going to say, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that a project this huge, an undertaking that massive and time-consuming must have took, you know, 5 years at least to create and lay out and develop. Having said all of that, you're currently in the initial launch stage, and as time goes on, I'm sure there will be kinks to work out and new features to implement in the future. What are some ideas that might still be in the developmental stage that you'd like to include in the future on HeavyMetalBay.com?
Well, I mean, every day is a sort of, shall I say, it's in the very early stages, as you know. For with a site like that, there are so many things that can go wrong, and so many things that do go wrong because it's a technical thing as well. You have to think of it. Sometimes a site just sort of, you know, you have server problems or something, which is things beyond our control. Internet's like that. We all know that sometimes things crash, whatever. But you know, we've done our utmost best for a site that's so new. It's actually doing extremely well. It's holding up very well. The programmers are on the ball. They're actually getting it right. I have a good team behind me. For the future, what do I see? Well, there's so many things this site can do. You know, I was thinking of things like uploading videos of heavy metal stuff as well. You know, bring the sort of YouTube idea in there as well. That would be quite good. There could be chat rooms in the future, things like that. You know, anything to do with heavy metal, that could be the case. You know, search engine opportunities within the site. You know, the list goes on and on. I mean, as technology progresses, I'm sure we'll start adding more stuff to it. But you know, I think the four big contents of the site being the concert guide, the band corner, the auction site, and the buy now options is actually a hell of a lot of stuff for one site to begin with anyway. And if I started adding more stuff at this stage, I think it might get a bit too much. So I'm going to just see how it all sort of goes now, and then, you know, when things, it's a bit like a baby. You have to make you know, look after the baby, nurture it, and once it starts walking itself, then, you know, you start adding and teaching it more things, you know. So I kind of see it like my new baby, really, to be honest.
Fair enough.
You don't want to give the baby too much stuff in the beginning, because otherwise it's going to get confused.
So, Denise, as a site founder and owner, you must have been keeping a pretty watchful eye on the website and the items being listed. Tell me about some of the coolest listings you've had so far on HeavyMetalBay.com. What have people listed on the website that might have even made you want to bid on the listing?
Well, there's one on there the other day. I think it was on, somebody put up there a couple of days ago, a Kiss signed box set. It's really a really cool box set. It's on the CD section at the moment, and you know, it's the price is very reasonable, and that I thought was interesting. There's a couple of items. You know, it comes and goes. We have a lot of CDs and DVDs and things like this. We've had lots of memorabilia magazines. You know, people put them up, and then they sort of, you know, what I would encourage people to say is, like, don't put the listing for just a week. I would encourage you to put it for 30 days, because the site being so new, it's getting so many attention that the more time you give the listing, the better. Plus, it's free to list. So I suggest people that if you are thinking of listing an item, list it as long as you can. But there has been some very cool items. We've got the Iron Maiden, the sound tapes from their first recordings, you know, Townhouse tapes, and that's like a very rare item on there as well, you know.
Yes, it is.
So, there's a lot of interesting stuff. Every day something else is added on there. So sometimes I find it hard to keep up because not only do I have to keep an eye on the site, but I also keep an eye on the team and all the other stuff that goes on with the site, and at the same time as well as do my booking. So it's a lot of work, as you can imagine.
Sounds like a lot of work. So right now you're making the rounds with the press and discussing the exciting launch of HeavyMetalBay.com. What other avenues will you be exploring in terms of promotion for the website? Are you going to hit the metal festival circuit this summer and distribute flyers? How else do you plan to get the word out?
Well, that's actually a very good question. And well, put it this way: this year it would be a little bit too late to hit the summer festivals because they kind of start around June. And for me now, right now, I'm off to New York from June 9th through to the 15th to do press and radio interviews, and that's a full-on thing itself. We have decided to concentrate on the press first, and then the concert side of the things, distributing flyers and stuff, that will happen. I would suggest the best time with that would be for next year, actually, because by then the site would be so well known, I wouldn't really have to approach my promoters. They're going to come to me anyway. So, I think one thing at a time is far more productive than actually trying to hit everything at the same time. If I was to go to all the festivals right now and distribute flyers and stuff, there isn't enough time to do such a mammoth task because the number of promoters I would have to go to, there is so many of them around the world. And number two, cost-wise, that would be a huge mammoth task anyway. I'd rather spend the time and the energy and the effort on one thing, which is the press and promotion around the world first, and then once that's all cleared, then I will go and hit the festivals and stuff. But as I said, by then the site will be so well known that people will be coming to me anyway,
Sounds like a solid strategy. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to talk metal with me tonight, Denise. Before we wrap this up, do you have anything else you'd like to plug or address?
Oh, okay. Well, just say, do visit HeavyMetalBay.com. It is the place for metal fans, and support metal and rock on, really.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much, Denise. Have a nice night.
Thank you, and you. Take care.
Take care.